Welcome back to Windsor Chronicles, the podcast where we cut through the palace spin and uncover the stories that truly shape the royal world. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a question that shouldn't even have to be asked. Why does a prince, born into one of the most secure institutions on earth, have to beg for protection for his own family? This week, Prince Harry has once again taken on the British establishment, filing a formal request for a full risk assessment of his safety when he visits the UK. It's a move that's shaken up the palace, frustrated King Charles's courtiers, and reignited the very tensions that keep the royal family fractured. Let's rewind for a moment. Back in early 2020, when Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, the government, with palace approval, stripped them of taxpayer-funded security. That meant no police protection, no intelligence support, no guaranteed safety when on British soil. It wasn't because the threat disappeared. Far from it. Experts have confirmed that Harry, as a high-profile target, faces one of the highest personal risk levels of any public figure. No, this was personal. It was punishment, plain and simple, for defying the firm. And as Harry has long argued, it was an establishment stitch-up, a decision driven more by wounded pride than public policy. Fast forward to this spring. In May, the Court of Appeal rejected Harry's attempt to reinstate his security, insisting the government had acted lawfully. But here's the twist. Harry didn't back down. During his most recent trip to the UK, multiple reports suggest that an intruder, a stalker, managed to come within just a few feet of him at two separate events. No official police detail, no guaranteed protection. For a man who's lost his mother to a fatal lack of safety, the message was chilling. So, Harry is now demanding what he says is his right, a proper risk assessment by the committee that handles VIP security, known as RAVEC, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee. In his formal letter to the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, Harry simply asked that RAVEC follow its own rules. Under those rules, every eligible royal and VIP should undergo an annual Risk Management Board review. The last time Harry's was done? 2019. That's right, 6 years ago. Since then, the world has changed, the threats have grown, and yet the committee has chosen not to update or even review his risk status. A source close to the Duke put it plainly. All he's asking is that the process be fair, follow the regulations, nothing more, nothing less. But as soon as that letter landed, the palace response was, well, predictably icy. Within 24 hours, King Charles's courtiers had briefed the Times that Harry's request was complicating his fragile reconciliation with his father. One aide reportedly told journalist Roya Nika, "It's not going to help matters. We're back to where we were." In other words, ask for safety and lose access to your family. Let's be clear here. Harry isn't asking for special treatment. He's asking for fairness and adherence to protocol. He's not even demanding that the king intervene, but he's reminding the government and palace alike that rules should apply to everyone, including him. Still, palace insiders insist that Charles cannot and will not lobby for his son, arguing it would be inappropriate for the monarch to get involved in policy matters. And yet, we've seen plenty of evidence over the years that palace influence can, and does, shape outcomes when it suits them. After all, it was those same palace channels that helped withdraw Harry and Meghan's protection in the first place. Let's pause on the irony here. A royal household that helped strip a son's security now insists its hands are tied when he asks for it back. For Harry, this isn't just about safety, it's about principle. He's seen firsthand how palace machinery can close ranks to protect its own image, while leaving family out in the cold. And the bitterness of that reality is something he's been voicing for years. In one recent interview, Harry called his court loss a good old-fashioned establishment stitch-up. He also made a heartbreaking admission. "I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff." Those words hit hard. Behind the legal filings and the formal letters lies a son who just wants to feel safe enough to visit his homeland, and maybe, to see his father before it's too late. So why does the palace react with such defensiveness? Because Harry's request exposes something they'd rather keep hidden: the quiet collusion between royal image management and government policy. Ravec isn't just a bureaucratic committee. It includes royal representatives who have direct communication with the palace. That's why Harry's case matters, because it tests where the line really lies between royal influence and state duty. If Harry's risk assessment is ignored again, it sends a chilling message to all future royals who dare to step outside the system. You can leave, but you'll never be safe. Meanwhile, the human story continues in the background. Sources say Harry's letter wasn't combative. It was measured, respectful, even hopeful. He knows it's not a top priority for the new Home Secretary, but he's asking for fairness, not favour. And yet, instead of a calm discussion about policy, the palace machine responded with emotional warfare: briefings, leaks, and subtle threats about complicating the king's peace. For a monarchy that prides itself on duty and compassion, it's a revealing contrast. At the heart of this is a bigger question: how does an ancient institution handle a modern world, one that demands accountability, transparency, and empathy? Prince Harry's fight for security isn't just a personal matter, it's a test of the system itself. He's asking the state to prove that justice isn't dependent on loyalty to the crown. And every time the establishment pushes back, they prove his point. In the end, this isn't just about who gets police protection. It's about who gets to define the rules, and whether fairness still has a place in the royal story. Harry's courage lies in persistence. He's forcing the system to look at itself, even when that system belongs to his own family. And as the palace tightens its grip on the narrative, one truth remains impossible to hide. He's not fighting for privilege, he's fighting for principle. You've been listening to Windsor Chronicles. If you enjoyed today's deep dive into the royal undercurrents, make sure to follow, share, and join me next time, as we continue to reveal what really happens behind the palace gates. Until then, I'm your host, and this was Prince Harry versus the Palace Machine: the fight for security and fairness.